Most people think of Islamic, Spain, and the Byzantine Empire as two separate worlds, one in the west and one in the east. But for over 200 years, these two powerful civilizations fought silent battles across the Mediterranean. There were no grand invasions. Instead, there were border raids, naval attacks, spy missions, and secret diplomacy. This is the story of a forgotten frontline in world history, the border wars between Al-Andalus and the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as Byzantium. In the early 8th century, the Islamic Caliphate rapidly expanded across North Africa. In 711 AD, led by Tariq ibn Ziyad, Muslim forces crossed into the Iberian Peninsula, modern-day Spain, and defeated the Visigothic rulers. Thus began the rise of Al-Andalus, a region that would become a center of Islamic science, culture, and power. Meanwhile, to the east stood the Byzantine Empire, the last surviving part of the old Roman Empire. With its capital in Constantinople, Byzantium was a Christian superpower with strong walls, fleets, and centuries of imperial knowledge. Although they were separated by the Mediterranean, they weren't safe from each other. The sea wasn't a barrier, it was a battlefield. From the 8th century onwards, Muslim fleets began launching naval raids from Al-Andalus and North Africa into southern Europe. Their targets: Byzantine coastal towns, islands, and supply routes. These raids weren't full-scale wars. They were quick, aggressive, and often launched at night. They aimed to steal resources, weaken Christian strongholds, and display military dominance. The Byzantines called these attackers Saracens and feared their speed and power. Major attacks included raids on Sicily, Crete, and even parts of southern Italy. And it wasn't just about looting. These attacks disrupted the Byzantine economy and forced them to constantly defend multiple fronts. But the Byzantines didn't just sit back. They fought back in clever ways. They couldn't always match Muslim naval strength, but they used politics and alliances. Byzantine emperors made deals with European, Christian kingdoms, and even sometimes Muslim groups inside Al-Andalus. They also supported uprisings in Muslim lands to create internal problems. There were even times when Christian and Muslim rulers had temporary truces, exchanging gifts, prisoners, and trade. But these alliances were usually fragile, broken as quickly as they were made. In this era, intelligence gathering was just as important as swords. Both empires sent spies into each other's lands. Traders, travelers, even scholars were often used as secret informants. Some were caught, others vanished forever, but they played a key role in reporting troop movements, political changes, and weaknesses. One interesting example is how Byzantium sent envoys to North Africa to stir conflict among Muslim tribes, hoping to weaken their unity. Likewise, Muslim leaders often tried to gather intel from Christian monasteries and ports. But empires don't last forever, not even powerful ones. From the 10th century, things began to shift. In Al-Andalus, internal divisions weakened the Muslim state. The Caliphate broke into small kingdoms called taifas, each fighting the other. This made them vulnerable not just to the Byzantines, but to the rising Christian kingdoms in the north of Spain. On the other hand, Byzantium was now facing its own threats. In the east, the Seljuk Turks were advancing, and from the west came the Crusaders, Christian warriors, who wanted to take back the Holy Land and attack Muslim lands along the way. With both empires weakened by new enemies, their border conflicts began to fade. In 1453, the great city of Constantinople finally fell not to Al-Andalus, but to the Ottoman Empire, a new Muslim power. And in 1492, Muslim Spain fell completely to the Christian Reconquista. The last city, Granada, surrendered peacefully, ending centuries of Muslim rule in Spain. But the story doesn't end there. These centuries of conflict between Islamic Spain and Byzantium left behind a legacy of mixed culture, architecture, and knowledge. From science to language, many things flowed across these invisible borders even during war. So what can we learn from these forgotten border wars? First, that history is not just made by huge battles. It's shaped by smaller stories, raids, diplomacy, spies, and survival. Second, that borders aren't always clear. Even enemies trade, learn from each other, and sometimes become allies. And finally, that no empire, no matter how powerful, lasts forever. This was not just a clash of swords. It was a clash of ideas, cultures, and strategy.